Hey everyone, nice to be with you all today. My name is Rohan. I'm one of the product managers here at Harness. I've been here for 6 years working on our CD product and then recently on our Harness AI offering. And today I wanted to speak with you all about something we ran into, which was we built our first kind of AI agents to give to our customers. And interestingly enough, we didn't have a very broad resiliency plan around it. So within the first couple days, it went down because we maxed out our tokens and we didn't have a backup plan. So today, this talk is about the learnings from that experience and kind of what our team came up with to make sure it doesn't happen again, essentially. To go into it, we can skip my intro, but for Harness, essentially Harness, we started in 2017. For those who don't know, we recently got announced as a leader in Forrester and Gardner in the DevOps space. So that's our bread and butter: CI, CD, security scanning. And as we've been on this journey since 2017, we grew to like 1,000 customers, 200 million deployments, or just pipeline executions annually. And over the last couple of years, we've seen incredible kind of customers join us on this journey from like Wells Fargo, Experian, Lloyd's, PayPal. And as you can tell, and you probably see it in the market and in the news, these companies are all trying to modernize their DevOps practices, but on top of that, introduce AI into these practices to make them more efficient. And what we've seen is our kind of platform kind of evolve. So we invested initially in CD, the crown jewel, and then we have our modules as well that kind of supplemented it and grew the ecosystem of where we wanted to be, which was like the leading DevOps platform. And then we moved into the FinOps space, help people become more efficient with their cloud costs because deployments come with the cost. And then we wanted to focus on testing and security. So you have the whole ecosystem of the SDLC under one umbrella. And on top of that, we worked on delivering AI capabilities. So in the last year, we built about 7 new like agents to help facilitate some of these experiences in Harness, from building code to deploying code to scaling up your pipelines to analyzing your cost and negotiating your cost to giving you suggestions on your chaos test failures, essentially. And today, what I'm going to talk about is the experience I had with the DevOps agent, which was this was the first agent Harness has ever built. And it was the fastest adopted because it's available to most of our CD, CI, and our basically any platform customer gets access to that agent. And we rolled it out to our main rings of our production clusters. And today we'll be talking about what happened, what are some of the learnings, and how did we come up with a strategy to fall back? And then what are some of the principles we instilled within the engineering organization so that that's not just one AI team. Everyone's going to be an AI team. We all need to understand how to launch the software, but also scale it and maintain it in the future. Why this matters. So AI, what we've seen with our customer base and then within Harness internally, AI is becoming mission critical to our DevOps workflows. This includes building pipelines, onboarding new services, being able to define authentication and connection mechanisms for the various providers that we use. And we've built our DevOps agent to help us do that as well as our customers. So onboarding and scaling new teams into your DevOps workflow, it has become a very AI-driven task within our base. The other aspect is one model outage can stall our deployments because we use AI to also verify our deployments. I can get the metrics from Datadog. I can get the metrics from Prometheus. I can analyze it. And I can also come up with an LLM judgment. So on top of the human judgment, I have an AI that can help me out. So that really helps like our newer SRE members, because I'm sure you'll have new team members, experienced team members will work on more complicated things. So having an AI judge give you at least a baseline analysis at least helps you take one step further in managing a deployment with a junior engineer. And so one model if a model goes down for us, it actually can stall our deployments because our models are used not only for a consumer facing need, but an internal facing need as well. And then on top of that, model unavailability. Because we didn't properly track the number of tokens we're consuming with like OpenAI or Anthropic, the model will become unavailable. And then we have effectively an outage because it's a service that we're offering our customers. And being able to manage that. Also, when we launch a new version of the agent, we experience drift. If the prompt isn't that good or if it gets worse, then people get worse responses or the model takes longer to work with other agents that we have in the system. And we start to see latency spikes. And then lastly, one of the learnings from all of these things was building like a resilience into our AI. So that means like if I took down one agent today, will the rest of the agents be able to work together? Or if the model we ran out of tokens, what do we do with that? So we come up with a resiliency kind of layer and system in place. It's a process and service that we put in place to resolve this. So this is the flow that happens today, or happened when we first launched, right? We had user requests, hitting our AI agents, making a call to the LLM provider, model access goes down because we've maxed out our tokens, and then the user just sees red error messages all over the chat. And it blocked like core workflows. Like we had our professional services team use it to onboard customers to help them build their pipelines. We also had new teams that bought Harness just for the AI capabilities who couldn't use it just because we ran out of tokens. And so we came up with the first thing was we met as a team and came up with the AI resiliency kind of principle for our organization. We we have the ability to pick or choose various model providers to power our agents. We have generic system prompts that work just as well with GPT-5, Claude 4.5, and Gemini 2.5. So that allows us to come up with a strategy where we can route based off token consumption. Like with an LLM gateway, we could route based off the token consumption which agents to use when, and if we're about to hit a quota, switch over to another one. And then if the AI fails completely, let's say I burn through all three options, the UI has to work manually. Like any feature that we introduce still has to work manually. And any process that we did cannot just be, oh, it only works with AI. We still have to have that manual process as a backup, and it has to be consistent. So that's one other aspect we look into when we build AI features and bring in AI practices. And then lastly, or third is the health checks and telemetry. We've built a system internally where using like our AI SRE product and our own telemetry suite, we have a system where we can actually monitor each of the agents and the parent agents. On top of that, coming up with a baseline and being able to forecast if we're about to hit a token max out, or if we're starting to see latency in the response, or if we're starting to see poor performance in output from the model. We have it all dialed in a system where just going into our portal internally, we can get a good visual of what each of the agents are doing. And then on top of that, it's not just about the agent's uptime, but when they respond, you start to see drift. And that could be because we changed the system prompt to address a set of use cases that we may have regressed on others. And so running those evals consistently and keeping that as part of our AI resiliency program has been another key area that we invested in, and it's paid dividends and makes it easier to move to the newer models, essentially. And then worst case, let's say like last week we rolled out Claude 4.5 with a suite of our agents. We noticed that there was degradation in one of our pipelining agents. And so we were able to just roll that back to 4.0. And our unified agent, our stage agents, and our step agents were able to be on 4.5 while we were retooling the pipeline agent. So agent maintenance, this goes into our agent maintenance conversation. So I mentioned that we have some various agents. And so basically the way to think about it is Harness has about, I'd say 8 agents right now in flight. And our unified agent, think about that as like our chat GPT interface. It's the central agent that like routes your prompt to the various sub agents that are specialized in the prompt or the task that you want to do. And what happens is we have these various agents. They can access your data in Harness through an MCP server. So we have an MCP server that we expose internally, and we have a flavor of it externally for customers to consume as well for their own needs. In order to make this different from your off-the-shelf Claude and Gemini, ChatGPT, our game is like in the context, right? So we built a software delivery knowledge graph based off your pipelines, because pipelines generate a lot of data, right? Like, what's your commit? What's your build? What's your deploy? What was your verification metrics? What were the security scans? Did you have any incidents? Did you have any rollbacks? Tying that all into, like, imagine like a graph that kind of ties all of these together. You can actually deterministically tell the model how to think about a problem and reason back all the way through the nodes to get to the root cause. And with this, we are able to make a much smarter kind of AI kind of experience for our customers, because usually when they come into Harness, it's usually because a pipeline failed or approvals pending on them, and needing to know that information of the history rather than digging through the UI has been really valuable in with AI essentially. So AI getting that context is the key. And that's why we built this software delivery knowledge graph. And so how did we like monitor and come up with the process? Because that was the DevOps agent scenario was just one agent. Now we have 8. And so we came up with a process of like lifecycle management, which was we run evals every single day on each of these agents. And then we do have a measurement system in place that we've put in where we can take the eval results and provide another LLM judge on the eval results to give you a score whether the model, the agent that we're using, meets that criteria or has gotten worse when we move to 4.5. Or if the suite of agents, like DevOps agent has 3 children agents, pipeline stage and step, did they get worse working together to give an end user response? And so the evals and the drift detections are like the key aspects of this life cycle management. Retirement, it's not really we never really take out an agent. It's more like we retire the model that's powering that agent and we pick a new one that might be better, because our mentality is we're not married to one model provider. We pick the best model that's capable of reasoning for that job. And so we have to manage different models from different providers, but the trade-off is we get the best in class experience for our customers. On the observability side, we monitor the unified agent because it's like the key leading health indicator for the rest of the AI system. Because if that main chat goes down, you won't ever talk to the various child agents in the system. So we very much monitor the unified agents, basically the number of tokens consumed, its uptime, its response rate, if we are closing in on our token consumption for, because it's powered by Claude, we route it to GPT-5 quickly? Can we route it to running another instance of Anthropic Claude 4.5 on Vertex AI? So we have different fallback mechanisms in place, and we have high observability on the parent agent because that's the first in experience that the user encounters. And then we do the other agents as another indicator. So DevOps agent, testing agent, FinOps agent, SRE agent, we monitor them. However, but if we have to monitor them, that means that the internal agents are not working with the unified agent. And so we keep an eye on both, but the primary is the unified agent, because if you can't chat, then there's no point and you won't even get to these agents to work with. We came up with a fallback model where we can actually, based off an LLM gateway, we can actually calculate the tokens. And then we have another monitoring service, which also reports back into this central like AI, Gen AI service. So based off 2 parameters, one is the token consumption, the other is the service performance metrics. We can feed that back into the application, and we have an intelligent way of actually changing the model automatically so we can route between the Gen AI service. The Gen AI service can route between the different agents of the different, backed by the different models, so that a human doesn't necessarily need to go in, update a config file. We can actually just intelligently route it based off a param that we get from a health check that we run internally. And then what we do is, like I said, we have 3 different models. We do a dynamic routing based on latency, accuracy, and cost. And then the worst case, obviously, is the UI and the experience has to work without AI. So we make sure that our pipeline page, our CI page, our CD page all work consistently. And so we have a loop that we run through, like I mentioned, around detecting drift, retiring old prompts and models and updating it to new ones, running a suite of evals to test it, deploying the new version, and then continuously monitoring. So it's not just an SRE's job, it's pretty much everyone's job, from our software engineer, our infrastructure engineers, our SREs, even our PMs. We also get our hands dirty sometimes and get in there, and we all kind of work together to release software. And the maintenance of these services is everyone's responsibility, because at Harness we believe features are great, but the two biggest features, speed and uptime, that's what you want to be remembered for as a team. You always want to, no one ever, every customer we talk to, the one thing they always tell us is, you guys are almost never down. And that's what matters to us the most. You're reliable. And that's a currency for us. That's what we pride ourselves on. And the last thing here is like treating AI like real infrastructure. It's not our agents. They might be shiny new things. They might be very catchy because we're using all these cool models. But at the end of the day, they are a service and they do power your business in some aspect. So we make sure that we have the same kind of rigor and focus on the telemetry aspect of them, having plans to revert them back. So not everyone's scrambling to figure out what to do, like on our first go around of this. And then being able to come up with various models and investing time into figuring out, hey, if Anthropic's not the one for me, or if Anthropic is not performing as well as I thought it would, or I'm out of tokens, I need to be able to jump to GPT-5 or Gemini or whichever other model that's approved in my business, and be able to quickly give the users our still best in class experience without them noticing that we're changing it over. And then worst case, I still don't think the promise of AI is there yet, where it can do everything and we can optimize all of our experiences just to be AI only. We always have to have a graceful path to go to that non-AI mode. Maybe we have a manual rules written in our chat. So if AI is down, we'll route you to the docs. We'll route you to the page. We can route you to a URL based off a keyword. Go to create a service. I'll just drop you the create service link. You click on that, and we'll actually take you to the service page to actually go create something. So always have a backup experience if your AI goes down, because we're not like tying our whole product experience on AI only. It has to be just as good manually. And so the lessons that we learned from this entire experience, SRE team, after our first outage, because we tried to go it ourselves, they literally sat us down and say, hey guys, this was great that you launched it, but next time you just talk to us. We have a playbook for you to manage this, because some of us like worked on this stuff as a side project. And so we learned how to properly monitor, how to set up some of the interesting tools that they use in our own team. So our team uses the same tool set that our central kind of SRE team and our infra team uses. We're able to now monitor not one agent. Now we have about 7 agents in the DevOps agent kind of suite that we manage, just with this kind of tool set that our SRE team has coached us on. And also the mindset of uptime has been changed. It's not just like we're shipping stuff and hope praying that we don't break things. Now it's like shipping stuff and not breaking things, and how we can prevent it from happening. That's been our big culture change on our team. The other aspect is investing in observability up front. So after the first go around, we didn't even build like the 5 other agents. We literally just said, let's just get the observability in place. Our SRE team gave us the framework, and they coached us for the first 2 weeks, literally just to see the first 2 agents' metrics waver and how they should be responding to them. So it was a lot of investment in coaching, but it paid off, because now what we learned, we were able to scale up to all the other module teams in Harness. And now we have this kind of SRE first culture with all of our engineering teams, which has been huge. This platform engineering concept, it pays off, because we believe every developer here should be able to do kind of everything. Because if we're a software delivery platform, the principle is that we have products to help you manage the processing part of releasing software. And where we need to focus is like, after we release the software, how do we manage the service? How do we always keep it up? Because speed and uptime are like our 2 biggest features in our platform. And so this mindset of everyone's a platform engineer helps us as a team really deliver top quality services for our customers. And yeah, that was it. Thank you for your time and thank you for listening for me.
Got a couple minutes for any questions. Are there any questions?
It might be early. Oh, one.
Hey, thank you for the presentation. What is the tech stack you were using for your knowledge graph?
Knowledge grab. We're using a Neo. We're using like a Neo4j, and then we're using two other technologies. I can't remember. I just got a demo of it yesterday, but I'm happy to share after the guy who built it is coming in later.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So, the question is for your redundancy plan, right? Thank you. For your redundancy plan, when you're changing the model from the chat GPT or Gemini, right? How do you manage the consistency of the result which is coming back? Because there are different models that they train by different data, right? Data sets. How do you make sure that your customer getting the consistent answer when you are switching over to different model?
Yeah, so we run a suite of evals against all the models. So we have similar system prompts for GPT, for Anthropic, and for Gemini. And basically, what we do is we have a set of system prompts for various use cases that our agents support today, and then we have about 100 prompts for those use cases, and we run them through, and then we score them. So the day the model's released, we run through those evals to come up with the baseline, and then we start rolling it out internally for our developers to run through their workloads. And if we don't see any anomalies and major changes in behavior, we tend to roll it out to our first ring, which is our SMB mid-market base. If they like it, then we generally roll it out to our second ring, which is our enterprise. And that they're a little more sensitive because we don't give model choice. We pick the best models for the job. So that's why we always prioritize Claude 4.5 first, because it's very good at the YAML based and coding based operations, and it's fast. But if we run out of tokens there, we do route to GPT-5 and we take the cost on the speed. It's a cheaper model. However, we do slow down. You'll notice it because the prompt is thinking longer, or the agent is thinking longer. But it's a fair trade-off for us because we first lead with the best in class experience, and then something that's a little slower, but it'll consistently give you the same answers as Claude. It's just a little slower. So that's how we model it. We have about a big eval list that we run through as a team.
Real quick over here. I think you just answered it with your previous question over there, but
Yeah.
I'm wondering, have y'all explored open source or at least open weight models? That's been a huge kind of emphasis, at least on the AI researcher side. They're saying
Yeah.
that they're going to catch up eventually and be like the core driver. One, because they're lightweight, and then two, you have more fine-grained control because
Yes.
GPT can just change under you. I'm curious what you've done on that side.
Yeah. So we have piloted with like a Llama, a Mistral, and we've even actually installed the open source GPT offering as well. But the problem with our team with us right now, it's more of we're playing the bandwidth game. So the investment that we need to actually nurture that model and train it and grow it, that's not our primary skill set. We use AI as an application layer, right? Like a support layer right now as a part of our tech stack. We are working to build our team, and we're starting to hire researchers. We're starting to hire very experienced AI ML individuals to help tune the models so we can start actually really taking it seriously. Right now, it's like, oh, there's the new open source model out. Qwen came out, and we want to go try that. We just don't have the bandwidth nor the time to invest in the tuning. So we bank on the model providers right now, but we're hoping to get there one day.
Great presentation. Thank you for that. Curious to understand, how are you actually putting the tokens in a bucket for your multi-tenanted system? Because one tenant can consume all the Claude 4.5 tokens. The rest of the customers will be left holding the bag. So how do you manage that?
Yeah. So we built like a kind of like we call it a consumption service. And so we give like an allocated quota to each account, and it's like just a baseline quota. And then what happens is once you hit that quota, we'll open up the rate limit so that you get to the next tier and then the next tier. And then we ensure that across the base, everyone has like a baseline tier. And we do some heuristics beforehand, like how much your token consumption is per customer. So we can allocate just the amount that you need essentially. But then if you start hitting your overage, what happens is we say, okay, you get this amount for free, but now you're going to get billed for the extra ones. And then it's up to the customer to decide, do we want to keep paying extra for the consumption, or we'll hold off on using AI and we can disable it temporarily till the quota resets. The other aspect is the way we ensure that not one user is consuming it. We also have alerts in the system, like someone's maliciously using it to write documents all day or something. And with that approach, we get an alert, and then we have a kill switch internally, which just says disable AI for that account. And then we negotiate back with like our vendor, hey, we had a malicious event. Can we potentially get more quota back? And generally, we have a good relationship with OpenAI and Anthropic, and they generally give us that back without any repercussion.
All right, Rohan, thank you very much.
Thank you.